Welcome to the Lead Pedal Podcast with your host, Bruce Outridge, where he talks all things trucking. Now let's get rolling.
Before you start turning a wheel, before you head out on that highway, you had better do this. That's right, pre-trip inspection. If you have not done it, stop what you're doing and go do it now. Now, if you're in an office, that might mean checking out your desk so you don't fall over. I don't know about that, but we're going to be talking pre-trip inspections, why it's important, and why professional drivers do this every single day. And if you're not doing it, oh, that tells us something, doesn't it? Hey, before we get into that, though, I want to talk to you about Bison Transport. And did you know that they received the grand prize for the Fleet Safety Award Large Carrier Division for the 17th time in a row by TCA? That's right. In addition, they earned second place in over 100 million mile category, marking over their 21st consecutive year receiving a National Fleet Safety Award. And they were also recognized second year in a row at TCA's Elite Fleet. If that's the case, why don't you want to work there? I don't understand. One of the safest fleets on the road. So, check them out. They are looking for owner-operators right now. They are looking for drivers right now. They were offering us sign-on bonuses. I don't know if they're still happening, but I can tell you what, because they ended at the end of March. But if you call, maybe they'll extend it. You never know. But you might want to call today. So where can you find out what's going on? BisonDriving.com. BisonDriving.com is where you should go to make sure that you've got everything going on to your benefit. If you're a driver, they pay you on time every time. If you're an owner or operator, not only do you get paid and get steady miles, but they've got benefits for fuel savings, they've got parts savings, they've got service savings. All that kind of stuff can really help you be successful as an owner-operator with Bison Transport. So go check them out, BisonDriving.com. I know you're going to love it, and I know you're going to wish that you'd gone there sooner. All right, let's get on to our episode for today, shall we?
Be sure to share the podcast on your favorite social media channels.
All right, so we are talking pre-trip inspections today because there's been a lot of issues on the road as far as pre-trip inspections, what they mean, why they mean. We were just looking at the criteria. If you listen to back to episode number 1552, we were talking about out-of-service criteria and why that matters. And I can tell you, there's a lot of problems going on in the road. You know what? If you do your pre-trip inspections, you'll know exactly where you sit. You won't be breaking down at the side of the road. You won't be out of service. You won't be getting fines. There's a lot of benefits to doing this. So why don't people do it? Well, there's a number of reasons why people don't do it. Part of it is laziness. Part of it is pressure, time pressure. But really, it's legal, right? It's prevention versus reaction. You can check it out ahead of time, catch something before it goes wrong. Or you can react after it goes wrong and go, well, I didn't know. And I got to tell you, it's still been a problem for veteran drivers. And a lot of that is experienced drivers didn't have some of the training they had today. They've kind of grandfathered in, some got in, but they've gotten their own thing. Do you know about the Schedule 1? If you're in Ontario, okay, so in the U.S. there's a different one, but if you're in Canada here, Ontario at least, there's a Schedule 1. It's a daily inspection. First of all, are you even using a form to make sure that you are doing it correctly? A lot of people aren't. A lot of people go around, they kick some tires, they check some lights, and they call it a day. You know, if you're holding a coffee in one hand, you're probably not doing the proper pre-trip inspection. All right. So we're talking a lot about that. Did you know there's minor defects and major defects? Did you know there's a column 1, 2, and 3? If you don't know any of this, it means you haven't seen the form, because it's all on the form. Now, what is the problem with the form? The form tells you all the things that you need to check. There's 23 items on the form, and they're not in order, which is why we have a pre-trip inspection, or what we call the circle check. So you go around. For those of you who are experienced, this should be a reminder. For those of you who are new, if you don't know this, and I can say this in defense to the new people, many new drivers do better inspections than experienced drivers. And that's because they've been trained on how to do it and do it the way they're supposed to do it. Whereas a lot of experienced drivers didn't really have anything to go on. And back in the day, I could tell you, I started driving in 79, 80, and there was no inspection there was no Schedule 1 to go to. You basically kick tires, and if you were mechanical, you knew what to look for. Then we went into the brake adjustment area. I learned that through the companies while I was going on, to check brakes and adjust them. And now we're into self-adjusting brakes, so you don't have to do that anymore as well. But it's a legal requirement. It's a professional requirement. And I think I want to focus on the second and not the first. Legal, you got to do it. Okay, it's on your logbook, it's in your ELD, it's on your thing saying that you've done it. You're signing off that you did it, whether you did it or not. So really the professional part comes down to, did you do it? That's why it matters. All right, let's look at it from a safety standpoint, right? Safety for you, safety for others. You ever have a wheel come off? If you've driven down the wheel and you got to your destination, and have you seen this on social media? There's trailers driving around with no wheels on them. That's another thing, right? Safety for you and others. You ever see the damage that a wheel off does to a vehicle because it's turning faster than the vehicle and it's bouncing and it's unpredictable where it's going to go, and when it hits someone's windshield, it takes it out? You've seen that one, right? Preventing breakdowns and delays. If you've ever sat at the side of the road for 2, 3, 4 hours, hoping somebody's going to show up to help you get your truck repaired, then that's probably because you didn't do a pre-trip inspection. Now, things can happen on the road. We've all had tire blowouts. We've all had lights go out. Things can happen as you're rolling. I get it. That can happen. But some of these out-of-service criteria probably should have been taken care of before they even got to that point. The thing that we've been talking about for the whole series this week on the podcast is protecting your license. That is the one thing we're talking about, protecting your license and the CVOR. And the CVOR follows you from company to company. So even if you think you're getting away from a bad company, that's still following you to the good company. And then, of course, for carriers and owner-operators, it's about money, right? It may seem more expensive to fix something, but it's usually cheaper to fix it before it becomes a problem than after it becomes a problem. So that's what you need to think about doing. Here's some of the things, it's funny because we harp on the same things all the time. And I used to be in training, so I understand how this works. There's a lot of common things that drivers miss. Tires, pressure, and damage, right? So if you're not checking your tires, this is basically the foundation. Lights and signals, know the difference between a minor defect and a major defect. If it's a clearance light, it's probably minor defect. If it's a tail light or a stop light, it's a major defect. A lot of drivers don't understand that. They lump all the lights together, so when one's out, it's actually hurting them more than it's helping them. Brake issues, understand your brakes. No, you know what? They've got these little things that you can put on your brake stroke rods to make sure that you're in adjustment or out of adjustment. You don't have to crawl under and measure. I don't know anybody that's marking and measuring anymore, but you should at least know how to do that. So you really should learn that if you don't know it, and then make it so the check is easy for you. So put on a monitoring plastic thingy-majig on your rod there so you can tell exactly where it is. Understand how to do the test properly so you understand what's going on. And of course, brakes, when was the last time you did a whole air brake system check, the actual proper system check you're supposed to do? You should know when that buzzer is coming on, all those kind of things for your safety and for others, especially if you're traveling mountainous areas or high traffic areas or any area. If you're going outside of the driveway, you should know how to do this, right? Load securement, another area that a lot of drivers have problems with. There used to be a load that I used to hate. We called it slinkies. It's steel wire. They load them on flatbeds all the time. I was never good at steel. It was not one of my things to do. I could get a load down the road, but I never enjoyed it. I was never good at it. And I didn't learn some of the tips that I should have when doing that. I did learn all the straps over it, and I get it down the road. But if you look at the experienced drivers who do that all the time, they've got little tips like strapping it all together as a bundle before strapping it down. Those kind of things that are not necessarily regulations or requirements, but really good operating tips to make sure it goes. So if you're having troubles with load securement, go talk to somebody, especially an experienced guy who seems to know how that works, and get that done. Small leaks in early warning signs, things like your brake hoses, brake lines on the grating. Make sure they're not on there. Make sure they're not rubbing on anything so they don't wear. These kind of things are the small things that turn into big things later on. But really, what you need to do is have that professional mindset. And this is where a lot of drivers get into problem. Pride in the equipment, pride in your ride. That's been one of the things. I know you'd go into, first of all, it gets you through the scales usually faster. If they see that you're taking care of equipment, they're not normally there to pounce on you. Get through as fast as you can and make sure that that is good. And then, of course, you're taking pride in it. You're going to notice any things that are going wrong because you're just taking pride. So this is one of the big things that real professionals really get into. Consistency every day, not just when you're being watched. So even when someone's not looking, do your pre-trip inspection the way you're supposed to and treat the truck like your own business. We're going to be talking more about that in the month as we talk about entrepreneurs. That's what we call an entrepreneur, and we'll be talking more about that and how that works. What are some of the consequences of skipping pre-trips? Well, roadside breakdowns are one problem. Out of service, we already talked about that back in episode 1552. That is a real problem. Fines and penalties. You don't need any more fines. You're trying to make money, not spend it. And accidents that could have been prevented will just take your company down faster than you know what to do. So make sure you're doing that. When we come back, I'm going to share with you how to make sure that you've got an efficient pre-trip inspection routine going and how you can level up your responsibility for it and be better on the roads. Before we do that, though, if you want to make sure you're getting the best parts for your truck when it comes to show quality detailing, our friends at Chrome Supply Warehouse is where we send everybody. They're in Belleville, Ontario, exit 538, north side of the 401, and I can tell you they've got a big blue glass building there with 8,000 square feet of the best truck parts you can get. Whether you're interior parts, exterior parts, whether you need something custom made, and whether you just want to look good in a new t-shirt, they've got all of that stuff for you. So check them out, chromesupplywarehouse.com. If you can't get to Belleville, they'll ship anywhere. And I can tell you, not only is the team amazing, the parts are amazing as well. So check them out, chromesupplywarehouse.com. All right, let's find out exactly how to be more professional with pre-trip inspections.
By far my favorite station.
You're the best. Oh, yeah.
I love you guys.
All right, let's talk about whether you've got a time pressure. Let's talk about the time pressure, because a lot of people say, hey, I don't have time to do this. I have to get going. One of the big things is a lot of companies are switching to this. Drivers, when they were paid by the mile, did not feel you were being paid to do it, so they were not doing it. It was an extra half an hour that they were supposed to take, and they weren't being paid for. Well, your life is worth more than half an hour, but a lot of companies are now paying you for that time. You have to do it, so make sure you're doing it. Don't think you're skipping and saving any time by skipping that, for sure. All right, so how do you develop an efficient pre-trip routine? First of all, be consistent. And I always tell people, work with a list. If it's got to be a sheet of paper that you take a sheet of paper. But don't just go into the cab and just go check without actually checking things. So a lot of companies are putting things in to see how that's done now. There's air tags, all kinds of stuff that you can put in to see if someone actually did go to the front of the truck, that kind of thing. But be consistent. Do your walk around the same way every day. That way it becomes routine. Make sure you got all the components in there. So have the schedule one with you. Make sure you do that. Have a checklist. Don't rush. Don't think. There used to be a time, remember a time back in paper logs where you can show that everything was done in 15 minutes, even if it took you longer? Well, you know what? Show your time. If it takes half an hour, if you're showing under half an hour, you're probably not doing a good pre-trip to begin with. So learn how to, and if there's a spot that you're not good on a pre-trip, because not everybody's perfect on everything, and it can be hard to, especially if you got a lot of snow and stuff, to want to crawl under the truck and do that. Figure out where you're having issues with your pre-trip and work on those. How can you make it better? How can you make it easier for yourself so you know that you're checking and you're confident without having to get under the truck? Is there things you can put on? Is there like those little, like I was talking about, the push rod stroke indicators? Can you put those on so that you know exactly where you sit for that? So now you go down the road confident that you did check your brakes and that everything's working properly. And make sure you understand how to do your brake checks so that they are actually you're doing it the proper way. Because if you're doing it with your brakes applied, you know what? You're probably not even doing your brake inspection. So make sure you understand exactly how that works. Foundation brakes, all that kind of stuff. Do your air system. All of that kind of stuff needs to be done. Adjust for weather and load type. So you may have loads on that doesn't allow you to see parts of your truck. Maybe the weather, like I say, there's nothing worse than trying to do a pre-trip at 6 a.m. when it's dark in the middle of winter and there's 3 feet of snow. Nobody wants to crawl under the truck there. So could you be doing it at night before you go? Can you, do more post-trip? Whatever it is, you can do it at the same time. No one says it has to be done at 8 a.m. in the morning. You can do it within that 24-hour period, but just make sure that you've got one within every 24 hours and make sure it matches your logbooks and ELDs, because if the time is different, someone's falsifying something. All right. So make sure you check that out. Experienced drivers do this. It is not just about the paperwork. It is about knowing your vehicle. You guys ever have an old vehicle where it rattled all over, but then there was a new rattle and you go, hey, what's that noise? I just had that happen not too long ago. You know what? Use all of your senses. Listen for unusual sounds. Look twice at problem areas. If something doesn't look right, don't just fluff it off. Go, hey, maybe I need to check that out. Don't ignore that gut feeling. A lot of you are experienced and have a gut feeling. You can tell when something's off. Or when you're loading and you think that's going to be a problem, don't let it just load and go. Feel free to tell the shippers that, you know what, this is my truck. This is how it needs to be loaded to be safe. Most of them are pretty good and they know. There's a lot of them that don't. So just make sure that you're doing that. And the best drivers aren't lucky, they're prepared. And I like that line there. Pre-trips are the foundation for a professional career. We are talking about professional this whole month on the podcast, and you want to make sure that you get that. So make sure you check that out for sure. Hey, if you are a new driver and you're looking to get started in this career, first of all, stay away from all those fly-by-night schools because they are not going to help your career. You want to get on with somebody that's professional. In our world, that's Ontario Truck Driving School. They've got 9 locations throughout the province of Ontario. They've been around since 1978. One of the top-notch schools in the industry here in Ontario. I've worked for them as a trainer before. I'm very familiar with their staff. They've been with us for a long time on the podcast as well. So I know who I'm dealing with, and I can confidently recommend you to that school wherever you may be. So you can check them out online at otds.com. They have truck training, they have construction, they have heavy equipment, bus, whatever you need. They got all the license categories there to take care of. They got quality instructors, and you're going to make sure that you get quality training there at Ontario Truck Driving School. So do not shortchange what your training is going to be, because it will ruin your career. All right, my friends, hey, make sure you subscribe to us, whatever podcast platform you're on. Let us know what area you see as the biggest problems with pre-trip inspections. Let us know in the comments for this episode. I'd like to know where people are having problems. Maybe I'll do an episode on that for you. All right, take care. Be safe out on the roads. Do your pre-trip inspections, and we'll talk to you later.
This has been another episode of the Lead Pedal Podcast. For more information or to subscribe to the podcast, visit theleadpedalpodcast.com and be sure to follow the podcast on Facebook and Twitter.